MARC table is also important. MARD. T001W is the table where you will be able to see the store relevant information. Okay, whatever configuration that we are making here for the stores, the configured information we will be able to see in T001W table.
Yeah.
Okay, there is also there is also a transaction called as WSPK. We will come to that later. For now, we will just see through this. These are the important tables. As and when we look through the concepts, we'll also look through the tables. And LFA1, LFB1, and LFM1 are for
Vendor
vendor
master.
master data,
Mm-hmm.
and KNA1. The reason why am I writing is that we also see plant in these tables are also important. Okay, I'm going to the purchasing and distribution chain. So in here, we usually don't maintain a lot of information. If there is any specific supply region specific for a store, that will be maintained here, and how the supply happens. It usually is regular supplies, and other details we don't really give a lot of importance. Source list we do not care about here in retail. It works in a little different way when compared to the normal process. So we don't really have to concentrate on the source list. But honestly, I have never worked in this tab itself. All that we do is first time configuration for the reference store, and from there on, don't care about this. POS is an important factor here. If you have any specific POS inbound profile setup and POS currency, then we will have to maintain. In fact, POS currency is mandatory for a specific store. You will have to say in this setup on which currency the transaction has to happen. So this is the place where it defines which currency can be accepted in a specific store. So this is important that you maintain this information here. Also, the POS inbound profile information here and the currency setup information here plays a major role when you will set up the out processes between the stores, POS and system. So it is important
Mm-hmm.
to have these two information in here. And layout on blocks. This talks mostly about how the store layout is being. For example, what is the area of your store, and how the space is being defined in the system. I also have not used this at all in my experience, so this is not very much important. And coming to these tabs are something that we usually will not give a lot of importance in SAP, but in here it plays a major role, because this is where we'll be able to see different details about the stores. Here we have seen only about the organizational information, right? We did not see a lot of information about what is the address of the store. For example, address of the store is
Mm-hmm.
important because, for example, whenever we open our apps, if you want to look through a MNS store near you, what you do is you just say that MNS store near me, correct? Right? That's how we
Yeah.
do the Google search. So it is important that we maintain the address very precisely in the system, so it so the details will be seen precisely in the apps. So plays a major important role. And opening time, as I said, everything is time bound, or everything is availability time bound in IS Retail. So if you open a store, you have to specify when is it open, what time is it open, and when it closes. It is not mandatory though, but it is important to give the opening date and closing date. For example, if MNS decides to close a store, they will have to update this closing date so that the assortment information doesn't get updated often. Okay. So it is important
Mm-hmm.
to give the information about when the store is open and from which date to which date it is open. All those information can be captured in here. And if I
Mm-hmm.
go to the display address part here, it will give the information about the name and other address details. Here is the important or fun part. Until before S4, business partner concept was not mandatory. Customer and vendor are were the objects used in ACC. The concept of business partner was not mandatory. In here, it is important that a plant has to be assigned with a customer or vendor, right? That's how the retail structure is. The vendor and customer master data has to be assigned, and if they are to be available, then it becomes mandatory that we also maintain the business partner. That's how the S4 system behaves. So it is also important that the plant is assigned with a specific business partner role. And if I go to the business partner information here, you will be able to see the business partner role that it is assigned with and its corresponding address and other informations. So if I open this role here, you should also learn a little about the BP, how the BP concepts work. Because that's when you'll be able to relate to it. You can Google through a bit and understand, and if you can, if you are having any questions, you can let me know about it. Okay. And it's important that every customer object that is created in relevant to the plant should also be assigned with a specific sales org and distribution channel and information. So whenever you get a KN A1 entry, it is also mandated that you should get the KN BB and KN B1 information. So in the address in the role of the BP role for customer specific for customer, you'll be able to see different informations. And this is the straightforward XD03 transaction, okay, where you will be able to see the relevant informations specific for the customers. So this is very important. And if I go to the sales and distribution tab here, you'll be able to see the sales and distribution channel assignment specific for that customer. I think they have not assigned anything in here, but it is also important. So that's about the business partner. In this we have assigned it only to the, I mean, someone whoever has created this has assigned it only to the customer object, so we are able to see only the customer object. If we also want to assign the business partner, so what we have to do is we have to go to the business partner here, and then we should assign a object which is it is in display now because I am in WB03 transaction. If I go to change mode here, I'll be able to assign the vendor object here. So if I have a vendor object similar to this, I'll be able to create this or assign this. So in this case, since it is not available, I'm going to create this one just for the sake of assigning it. I'm choosing a random role here. Okay. When we actually create the stores in the system, we'll have to assign the right one. So I'm just assigning this role in here. If we go here, I'm just saying that create this organization, and then I'm saying that create this.
So the plant and business partner ID would be same, right?
It again depends on your config. We will go through those config information tomorrow. I will tell you in which place you will do the configuration, and you have the decision making power of how your numbers or namings are to be in the system. If you want your plant and its corresponding vendor and customer names are to be the same, you can also have it as the same entities. Or if you don't want, you can also ignore having the same names. So it
So we
depends
need,
on what your requirement
yeah,
is.
okay. So we need to change the role. If you want to create a customer, you have to create a separate role for the vendor. If it is for the customer, you have to create a separate role for the customer, right? When
Yes,
the
right. Yeah, yeah. I'll show you the configs tomorrow, and from there on, we will also see how it is being set now with the currently available setups. So this is the tab for the business partners and the material groups. If we go to the material groups are nothing but the merchandise categories. Material groups play a very major role in terms of any industry. Okay, not only specific for IS retail. Material groups are the ones which decides what kind of category your materials will fall in. Okay, if you see here, we can see the milk, fruits, vegetables, data storage are the material groups that are being created in the system. So when it comes to material groups, T023 is the table where you will be able to see the material groups information. Okay. So again, it depends on how you want to segregate your materials based on the industry that you're going to work. You will be deciding on the material groups information. If you see here, you'll be able to see just at the brink of seeing it, I'm able to see that they have done a very good segregation of the material groups: milk, fruits, vegetables, data storage, fuzzy drinks, beer, wine, whiskey, chewing gum. All of these could be your material groups, under which you, all the material groups whichever is available here, your store will be able to sell the materials which are specific to these material groups. For example, let's take a different women's jean is not available here. If that is a material group, if your organization is dealing with, if it is not assigned in here, it is not possible that this store can assign the or sell the material groups women's pants.
So we are not assigning the actual material here. We are assigning only the material group. So whatever the material belong to this material group will be available for sale, right?
Yes, yeah. It depends on what kind of assortments you're dealing with. If, for example, material women's pants are not available here, but if you have the opportunity to assign the assortment